On the sidelines of the APEC summit and the IPEF, where Bharat's growth story is being talked about, there is the aspect where Bharat's story itself is being killed. A fight of narratives, ladies and gentlemen. And now I'm in conversation with two people who are in the thick of things, if I may say so. Indian roots, but born in the US and emergency room surgeon. So he's got a story of his own, but Mihir Meghani is also somebody who's championing the Hindu American Foundation or the HAF. So you're now getting into advocacy, but you've gotten into the thick of things of those who are trying to push these anti-Indian narratives. Sangeeta is also the regional director for California with the HAF. Thank you very much for your time. So let's get talking and let's look at the core issues. First up, why the Hindu American Foundation? What was the need for it? And you're born here in the US, so why did you feel the need to start this? I know Suhag Shukla is with you, so I must say that Suhag ji is a regular on the right stand on my show, but she's not here. But yes, Mihir.
Yeah, I think Anandji, thanks again for having us, and greetings for belated Diwali for all the viewers. I come from a background, a patriotic background. My parents came from India in 1969. My great-grandfather was a Gujarati poet, Mihir Meghani, and then Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhiji was a distant relative as well. But growing up in this country, I realized that we had many organizations that were doing religious work, temples. We had many gurus that were focusing on spirituality. And there were organizations back in the 70s, 80s sending money to India. But we didn't have anybody speaking to American policymakers, legislators, journalists, and others about who we are as Hindus, not just as individuals, but who we are as a 5,000-year-old civilization, the oldest large civilization still remaining that's kept most of our religion and culture intact, with an uninterrupted history and connection to the land of Bharat and to our religion, which we can call Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism. And so when I went through my younger days, growing up in this country, going to Hindu youth camps, being involved in college and Hindu Students' Council and other Hindu groups, we realized we needed to set something up, and the established groups didn't want to. So 20 years ago, we set up the Hindu American Foundation to be a voice for Hindus in America, but also to be a voice for Bharat, our civilization, in the country which is the most powerful country in the world, which is the United States. That's basically, in short, the history of why HF was founded. We were committed that if we wanted to do justice to this 5,000-year-old civilization, millions of Hindus who died to protect all of us in India, regardless of our religious background or what religion we are, to practice our beliefs in freedom, to live in democracy, for all the sadhus and others who kept our traditions alive, we needed to have a professional voice. We can't be a professional voice for 1.4 billion Bharatiyas, for 1.4 billion Hindus, unless we professionalize it. I can't come home from the hospital at 7 p.m. and say, I'm going to be on email for 90 minutes and the work's done. So we committed that we wanted a professional group. 20 years later, we have around 18 staff. We have a budget of $2.5 million. We're going to get to $5 million. And we have a lot more work to do. And we have great staff members like Sangeeta on our team.
So one of the recent challenges, so let's come, he's talked about the history a bit, and that takes a lot of commitment. You've just pledged some more money we're given to understand, so you're increasing the entire corpus of this caucus, if I may say, to about $5 million. But one of the recent challenges has been the SB 403. Now, who's pushing this? What's the narrative? And how were you able to, get it vetoed?
Yeah. So, basically, SB 403 was introduced sometime back in February, and it was introduced in the California Assembly by a freshman senator, Aisha Wahab, and it has the support of a for-profit organization called as Equality Labs. And, I came to know about it as a regular citizen. I have a HR background prior to joining HAF, and I'm also been a homeschooling parent. I am a mother of 2 girls myself. And so when I came to know through the community that there is a bill that's being introduced here in California which insinuates that everybody from South Asia always has a caste lens when they are in the workplace or when they are interacting with community members. I was beyond shocked. I still remember the first night I heard it and I couldn't sleep because we as immigrants come to this country to build a good life for ourselves, especially those of us from South Asia. We come here for higher education. We contribute immensely to the universities here. I myself came for my master's. And then we are, top producers in our communities, whether it's our businesses or our industries that we work in. And suddenly, out of the blue, somebody is coming and saying that each and every one of you is a casteist, and you are only looking at everybody else through a caste lens, and that we are either oppressors or oppressed.
So this caste lens was limited only to the Hindu caste groups, or did this Aisha Wahab and the Equality Labs also highlight Ismaili, Sunni, Shia, and all the other sects as far as Islam is concerned, or the about 30 odd different sects and castes that which are there in Christianity is concerned?
Yeah.
Was this across religions, or was this largely framed towards it is the Hindus' work? They say South Asia, but their focus is on Bharat.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. The language of the bill, while it was specifically saying South Asia, implicitly it would have been the Hindu groups that would have got affected. And you might ask how, right? Because in California and many other states within the country, the very first time anybody reads about Hinduism is in the 6th standard history textbooks when world religion is introduced. And if you look at the textbooks, while they do give a fair share of what the contributions of Christianity and Islam and all of the religions have beautifully contributed to art and technology and science and humanities, Hinduism is this pyramid, top-down pyramid with the Brahmins at the top, the Dalits at the bottom, and Hinduism is equal to the caste system. So, what I'm trying to say is, most of the people here in this country know about the Hindu faith through the textbooks that they have studied in the school system, or through media, which limits Hinduism to cow, caste, and curry. Right?
So the curry boys, curry girls, the slurs that have happened in the past.
Exactly.
So that's how the association.
Yes.
But this is devious, isn't
Yes,
it, Sangeeta?
it is.
So if I can bring Mihir, now you realized who are these Equality Labs? Who are these Aisha Wabs? Is she an Indian? Is she born somebody? And is she a victim of this? There are some other elements and other people also limited. Who's backing them, and why did they suddenly decide to do it here? There must be a why for all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for all our viewers who are in Bharat and India, we have to realize that while the nation has come far in 30 years in terms of tremendous economic growth, being a global and regional player for peace, the only country that could have passed a resolution with Russia, China, United States, and EU, and Ukraine all agreeing on language. India's come far. And so when forces against Bharat cannot destroy India militarily, politically, or economically, they're going to start attacking at the fringes of the civilization. And that's in places like the United States. They'll do it through city council resolutions and laws because they want to, keep that attack on. And I think for everyone in Bharat, you know about this because when Pakistan, for example, has not been able to defeat India on the military battlefield, they've supported terrorism.
Yeah.
The forces that came together over the last decade, that have come together and that were together here on this bill, are the same ones that the community has been fighting for the last decade. These are terrorist elements. Majority of Sikhs are totally pro-India, but there's a segment, the Khalistanis, we all know about, who have joined together with some Christian evangelical groups. They've joined together with some anti-India Muslim groups and India's extreme left groups to come together and every few years raise a new issue that only seeks to further defame the name of our civilization, India, to defame Hinduism and divide the Indian American community here. We have to realize that this is going to continue because India's not going to disappear as a great civilization. We're back to where India was 300-400 years ago when it was at the top of the world. India won't be defeated militarily. India's not going to be defeated politically. It's too important. So people who want to attack are going to attack in places where they have some sort of a voice. And America, unfortunately, has provided them space like that. And you can see these same forces are coming together, for example, against Israel. They're not standing up with Armenia, another ancient civilization that's our ally here.
So this is a civilizational game. So and that's why it will happen at the grassroots, and the attacks will happen there. Now you've successfully been able to counter it because there are different people who've been working at different levels to do it. How are you further organizing ranks, Sangeeta? Are you working with other cohorts or other groups which are coming together? Because largely one of the criticisms is that Hindu groups everywhere are splintered. So within their own community itself, they have some 600 different associations. So how are they all going to come together? So is that happening now? Is there an organizing of ranks that's happening?
So this is a great question, and I think all of us will agree that SB403 has been a big blessing in bringing the Hindu community together. And in this sense, HAF has very actively worked with all the other Hindu organizations and has really reached out not just across the Hindu community, but across all interfaith communities as well, including the Jewish, the Sikhs, the Buddhists, the Jains, the Christians, the Muslims, non-Hindus, non-white, non-browns, everywhere, because we are a part of this country. I identify myself as a Hindu American, right? And so within the Hindu community, we have gone across various sampradayas, various temples. We have told temples that you need to start speaking up, right? And also just basically telling everybody that this is not about what particular aspect of Hinduism you believe in, but this is after your very identity as a Hindu. And if you do not stand up right now, then the biggest loss is that 2 generations down the line, our kids will not want to do anything with their faith, right? I mean, living and raising families alone is difficult enough in any part of the world, but if somebody is going to go after you in terms of your faith, 2 generations down the line, why would my grandchildren ever want to do anything with the Hindu faith, right? So that was a very big, like an alarm bell for many Hindus across the society. And also, in SB403 very rawly touched the professionals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it did. It did.
It was really
Suddenly you're being
about-
educated, and they're trying to hold classes and to
exactly.
and the entire Cisco case happened.
And if you see, it came right after the tech recession. I myself was affected by it. My last job, my position was eliminated, and then in my husband's case, he got to keep the job, but his team got fired, right? And so he had to basically do a lot of work. So by the time February the bill was introduced, most tech people, Indian Desis, Desi Americans, Hindu Americans, were working 60-hour plus, jobs, right? And so on top of that, is somebody's coming and telling you that this will also be taken away from you because you're always looking at everybody else as a caste lens. I think in a way it was the biggest blessing because you could no longer hide behind your specific, sampradaya or whatever is it that
I don't want to get involved. I just want to do my job, live my life, and chase the American dream. So, but that dream itself was being threatened. But yes,
right. Good. I want to add something. I do want to thank people in India for their support in SB403. When Sangeeta talked about this coalition that came together, we had leaders, Kashmiri Muslim leaders like Javed Beg, Yana Mir, Sajid Yusuf from Kashmir, who wrote to the Board of Education supporting us. We had Sikh leaders across the world, Malayali Christians writing in. So this is not just Hindus against anti-India forces. This is the community coming together because
so it just became Hindustani, if I may say,
that's right.
coming against all those who are.